Hi everyone, I'm Mark,
And I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks. Welcome everyone to our newest episode, and we want to just thank you all for stopping by. We know you got busy lives and you chose to go ahead and tune in to us, so we appreciate it. Don't forget to check out the previous episodes if you have not, of our Final Fantasy IX series, that is, and then also pop it on our website, finalstopforfinalfantasytalks.com. We've been updating it, as always, as we say that each time, but we've been updating. We got new blog posts. Go in there, check it out, man. Lots of good stuff. Same with social media. Follow us. We've been posting lots of pictures, and it's just great conversation.
Yeah.
So let me go ahead and recap because, as I did last episode, I kind of play up to where we left off in 9, and I try to do all the things we talk about. So just kind of my takeaways from it. Another reason why to go to our website is please go to our website and check out that blog post I did, because in it you're going to find a lovely Cinna picture. My takeaway from it is that, he's got that big old belly. Dude, the shirt, like 5% down his torso. I don't why did they even put a shirt on him? I don't understand.
Oh man, I don't know, dude. The characters in this game are just so weird and so funny.
They
But
are.
I guess that's kind of what gives us its charm.
It doesn't. Well, we're kind of glad he has that because he just gives so many laughs. It'd be a shame
Yeah.
if he wasn't who he was. A
Yeah.
couple other things. So, man, we botched it last episode. When you're up on the roofs with Vivi, they aren't chimneys,
Oh, yeah?
dude. They're bird nests.
Oh, is that what it is?
It
Okay.
is. But not that really makes more sense, because why would there be a bunch of money in bird nests? When
Well, I
these
guess
birds are
I
going
guess
around
there's
stealing coins?
yeah,
So,
like attracted to the shine of it or something like that, I guess.
yeah. So if you're pulling your hair out, getting upset with us because we're calling them chimneys, we apologize. They are bird nests. And then the last
Yeah,
one, I had
my
I had to
bad.
get down specifically what Ruby did say, because man, it's so hilarious. When Garnet runs by, she spins, "What in tarnation?" And then she says, "What kind of cattle you chasing?" It's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a shame that she's not included more. Other than like the little, letters that you get through
Of
Magna
course.
every once in a while. She's just kind of like left in Alexandria and then
Yeah.
that's it.
And we'll talk about her when she comes up, because as we discussed, she is a different character, unlike any other in the game. So, anyways, let's get on. So we are in the Evil Forest. Obviously, they crashed, and we're moving forward. So, first thing I have to say is, as I always like to comment, the music, right? So, the nice Evil Forest it has a nice,
Hmm.
relaxing song to it. It's like,
Yeah,
and for how creepy it is, because it's incredibly creepy forest.
it is, yeah. But I like the OST in this place too. It's really nice. And I believe they reuse it at a later point in the game too, which is kind of nice because other than Evil Forest and when they use it later, it's the only time you get to hear this song.
Yeah. And then, of course, it's pretty basic going forward here. There's just the Fane and Goblin enemy encounters. Really easy
Hmm.
battles. I mean, it's the very beginning of the game, so, they're trying to ease you in after... They at least gave you some variety after all you've fought up to this point has pretty much been Steiner and Baku over and over and over again. And
Yep.
so they give you that, and then what? I mean, it's a pretty self-explanatory place. It's pretty linear. Obviously, you're going forward. There's no real path offs or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Fang and Goblins, they're pretty much one or two hit kills, depending on if you're using the Mage Masher or the Dagger. They
Right.
don't have anything special to use, they just use basic attacks, and I think both of them just have potions for steel. And I can't remember if we covered the first boss, but you get to Prison Cage,
Right.
and you fight him two times. One time with oh shoot, I don't want to get the order messed up here, but one
Well,
time's with Dagger, and then the other
yes.
time is with Vivi.
We kind of touched on that last episode, so it
Yeah.
is. I literally actually just did that. The first time is when Garnet's in the cage,
Mm.
and it's just Zidane and Steiner. That's when Zidane goes into trance, and you
Oh
you
yeah,
fight
yeah,
it, but then it goes away. Then the second one, it swallows Vivi, and then you're fighting to get Vivi out,
yeah.
while Vivi's casting magic. Funny thing about that, and I think we talked about this, it's so easy to kill them on accident. I wasn't paying attention, man, and I accidentally attacked Vivi, killed him, like, oh my gosh, I had to do it over.
Well, I mean, he's got like 48 HP, right? He's level 1 at
Yeah,
this point, I think. So
yeah,
he's super weak.
he is. He is.
Hmm.
It's funny because I think back to when we first started playing 9 and we'd go through, we would actually sit in that first area and fight Fanes and Goblins and try to level up a little bit.
Yep.
And it's funny because
Yep.
now I'm like, man, get me out of here. These guys aren't worth my time. It's just, let's
Pretty
get a move
much.
on.
Yeah, I mean, you get the first level like right off the bat, and then it's kind of a grind to get up to level 5 with these guys because they give you so little experience.
Yeah,
But level 2, level 3, you already get a pretty big boost from that.
right. Something else we want to talk about. I mean, we'll probably talk about it as we go through, but something that's quite interesting in 9 that I just, off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything that is quite like it in any other Final Fantasy that I've played, 7 on. And that's the sword magic, right, that Steiner has with Vivi. And what I mean by that, like that nothing else in other Final Fantasy, it's like it's a combo between two characters. You have to have Vivi
Yeah.
in the party in order to use it, and Steiner as well. And it's pretty sweet. I like it.
Yeah, I can't think, not off the top of my head, of another one where it's so, character dependent, where you have
Yeah.
to have them in the same party. It's really powerful. I think
Oh,
most people
dude.
would agree that Magic Sword is amazing.
It's crazy good.
Yeah, and for most of the game, well, I say most of the game, but for a lot of the story, you don't have that option. Not to spoil or anything, but basically they get split up and all that stuff.
Yeah, all
So,
over the place.
yeah, unfortunately, you get it early on, and then you have to wait way later in the game to start enjoying it again. But it's just so overpowered, and I think it's one of the reasons why Vivi and Steiner are just two of my favorite characters to have in the party.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's kind of like almost go-tos with it, and of course, it does cost quite a bit of MP, and especially early on if you just spam it all the time, but
mhm.
yeah, if you definitely need that quick burst and you got them in the party, it's always a nice go-to.
Yep. So, yeah, at this point, you're leaving the Prima Vista. You've already fought Baku for the 50th time at this point,
Yeah.
and left the group and everything. And there was just this kind of cool part that when I first started playing the game, or when I played it, the first couple of times, I never knew about this and I never made this connection that as you're leaving the Evil Forest and you've got Steiner and Vivi, there's a little area that you can go to the left, I think on the second or third screen out of the Prima Vista. And you get to this river, and then Zidane says something like, I wonder where this river goes. And it's kind of interesting because later on you finally understand what he was kind of saying with that, and we'll get to this later. I don't want to spoil
Right,
it too
yeah,
much,
no
but
spoilers.
basically, yeah, as they're trying to escape and stuff, but
Of course.
just kind of like an interesting little missable piece of text there.
Well, yeah, and we were talking about too, and that was exactly it. I was kind of like, I've never really thought about that. First of all, I don't even remember the whole river thing, in ways of going left and finding it. I usually just kind of power
Right.
on through to the main boss. But yeah, like it's just one of those things that it's just such a small detail that you don't
Yeah,
really pay attention. It's like, okay, whatever, dude. Who cares where the
exactly.
river goes? And then not only that, but then you have to kind of remember that later on and make that connection, like you said. And of course, we will get to the other end of that. But it's kind of cool. I like that. It's just full of little things like that, isn't it?
Just I love those details because after you played the game and you go back and you replay it, it kind of adds that value of what's going to happen, and then you can kind of see all of these little details that they put in there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so pretty cool. We like it. Just a small little nugget of info, which again, we'll make the connection later when we get to the next part. But then you go on, you find your nice little mog. Little thing for this prior, obviously. I mean, again, nothing too crazy to fight to this point, but definitely save your potions if you do take damage. Save your potions because you know what? We got the Mog and the Sprain, which the Sprain heals you. And so I just
Yeah.
threw that out there because something I kind of forgot about was, I was like, oh, let me use my couple potions. It's not like it's crazy hard. And especially, man, if you did really well at the sword fight, you're rolling in the money. You can just be buying as many potions as you want. But, kind of why use them when you have the Sprain?
Exactly. I love how just spring water can heal you. It's just,
Delicious.
I know, right? Just like clean water or something. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, moving forward. I mean, we're gonna kind of be jamming through the forest. I mean, there's not much to talk about in the forest, but
No.
so we got the what is the raffle?
Rafflesia, I think, it's kind of like a newer enemy. So, we talked about Fang and the Goblin at the first section. So, once you get past the spring, you get this new enemy. And to be honest with you, this guy's pretty annoying because he can use pollen, which inflicts darkness on all of your party members.
Yeah,
That can be quite a problem for Zidane and Steiner
absolutely.
specifically. But yeah, he's pretty easy. I think he dies in like 2 hits, but just that annoying pollen move gets introduced at this point.
Well, and something that I think probably most people forget about if they're returning to 9, as well as some of the other earlier ones, right? That status effects carry with you. And so,
Yeah,
if you just play the later ones all the time, they don't. And so you kind of just, you get into that and then you come back to 9. And that was kind of the same thing for me, right off the bat was like, I got out of battle. I'm like, what the heck, man? Why is darkness on there? And then I'm like, ooh, and so that can be a problem, right? Because that's eye drops you need and all that. And so,
I mean,
yeah,
yeah, I usually don't have that many items at this point, so it's like you want to try and conserve all those eye drops, and obviously not using it on VV and stuff is one way to do it, but
yeah.
yeah.
Little tidbit there. And then, of course, you got the plant brain boss, which fairly straightforward, right? I mean, it's kind of the first boss, I mean, you had
Yeah.
Baku and Steiner, but, it was kind of easy. So we got the first actual boss.
Yeah.
It's not bad. What can you now? I'm trying to remember. Garnet. You can control Garnet, right? So you can heal yourself, or do you actually have to like?
No, so
That's right.
you don't have Garnet at this point. She's still unconscious.
That's right.
Um,
It's not kind of like a VV fight, right? With the cage where
right.
he can use magic.
Right. So that's why this is actually he's kind of a tough one. Because he's got pollen again, so they got that annoying, darkness on everybody
Right.
for a lot of it. He's got thunder. He can hit individual characters and everybody, and his tentacle slap move. But the thunder, man, especially on certain characters, I remember specifically if he uses it on Zidane, it'll do like 90 damage or something like that. So
Yeah, it does a big old chunk.
it's significant, man, at this point when your characters have like maybe 150, 180 HP.
Exactly. Well, that's when you kind of like you either roll the dice and don't use a potion on one action, or you go
Yeah,
ahead and just immediately potion. And so
yeah,
no, it's pretty. Yeah, I mean, he's got the wide variety of moves, and then of course Blank joins in, and that's
yeah.
a very nice relief that you weren't really expecting if you haven't played, right? And so that's kind of cool. Helps out with the damage just because Blank is totally awesome, and he's like, oh, I'll just crank out like 80 damage hits, no problem.
Well, that's the thing. He brings with him an iron sword at this point, which if you didn't steal that from, what was it, the last fight with Baku? That's a
Oh,
really
that's right.
powerful
Yeah,
sword. That's why he's doing like 80 damage. And one other thing, and we'll do this with all of the bosses because I just think the steals are really important in this.
of course.
His rare steal is the Iron Helm, 25% chance, and that's actually a pretty significant item at this point because you get an early shot at the level up ability for Steiner.
Yep. So, you killed your first boss. Here we go. And somehow, the forest goes. Well, I guess it is a plant brain. So, if we're just imagining it's the forest
Yeah,
brain in that aspect, I guess that would spell trouble for the whole forest. And
yeah.
so, you got the big ol' nice little forest scenes, right? With the running and the little red haired plants or whatever the heck they are, And just
Yeah.
something I put a note in because I just noticed it. Obviously the
Uh-huh.
remastered versions, they updated the character models and all that, and it actually looks really good. I think that's the only reason why I can even replay some of these super old games. But of course they couldn't really redo the movies, and the
The
cinematics.
FMVs, yeah.
And dude, I play it on a big old TV, and some of them just look so bad. This one particular, especially when it like has the view where all of them are kind of conjoining to that one path and then running forward.
Yeah.
It
Oh, yeah.
you just can't tell what's what. All you see is a bunch of red and blurs, and it's just like, oh my gosh, that looks so terrible.
Well, yeah, and the background kind of loses all of its detail as well, which is really funny. It's
Yeah,
just like, because they couldn't really put all that detail in there. And one other thing I thought was so funny about this FMV, can we just acknowledge the fact that Vivi was sprinting faster than Zidane?
Oh yeah,
Why
the
was he?
kid, the kid
They
who
were all
trips.
passing him. Yeah, they're all running faster than him, and he's like sprinting as fast as he can. But Vivi's got these little tiny legs, and he's past him somehow.
Oh yeah, like I just said, the kid that trips literally every other step is now like an Olympic sprinter going for it.
Usain Bolt.
Yeah, dude, it's I didn't even. I laugh at that each time, but I'm glad you brought that up because
Yeah,
that is
I just noticed.
hysterical.
Right, it doesn't make any sense at all. And Zidane's running as fast as he can, and then Blank basically saves him, like pushes him out of the way, and
Right.
then gets trapped in the claws or whatever.
Yeah, and throws the map that is apparently made out of solid marble with the distance that it's thrown. Like, dude, roll up a piece of paper, guys. Okay, now granted, this is parchment, so this is definitely thicker stuff in the map back then.
Yeah.
But roll up a couple pieces of paper and throw it. Let's see if you can chuck that thing a good 50 yards like Blank did. And not only that, it bounces off the
Seriously.
ground, and
He straight up threw a Hail Mary right there.
yeah, he did.
That guy's got an arm on him.
Yeah, he does. It's hilarious. It's so, yeah, you know what? They make it out. Blank's there. Something that you wrote down was, why didn't they just use a soft on him? And
Yeah, like just use a soft, right? Just walk back in. I mean, because I find it funny too. You can also see as part of the FMV, you can kind of see like Blank is there, petrified. He's still being like held by the little plant
pincers.
spider guys.
Yeah.
Right. And there's nothing else, like there's no vines or anything there. You could just walk in, but for some reason, in those scenes following, you can see that like the entrance to the evil forest is literally like just enclosed, like a solid
Yeah.
wall of vines that are petrified. Why does that happen? I mean, I love how the game always has to do these kind of like invisible plot walls that you can't just walk back in there. You can't use a
Yeah.
normal soft, all of these different things.
Well, yeah. You can't just walk 10 feet down where there's a gap between the trees. And it's like, oh, I'll just
Exactly.
go right in. Well, and the fact that soft is for petrify, and then it works, but like, no, this one needs to be super.
Of
it's and
course.
it's just interesting that it's like killing that boss caused the force to petrify, apparently, like as if it's like the lifeblood or something.
Yeah, and I looked that up too, and it's that's pretty much what it is. I mean, there's no other explanation for it. That's just basically killing that guy. He was apparently like the master of the forest or something like
Yeah.
that. So you kill him, and everything goes haywire, and then it gets petrified randomly.
Yeah, pretty
Who knows?
hilarious. But here we are. We made it through our first little zone. We're finally out on our own, and we're gonna just move on to bold move. So we'll put that on pause. We'll go into bold move, and we'll have some fun times with that. So I'll go ahead and start us off with bold move this time. Oh, I have a list of them, and it's always hard to take it out, but I think this week, just keeping it with Final Fantasy IX here, my bold move goes to Aiko, and for her just continuous one-line hitting on Zidane all the time. Dude, because you find out in the dossier that Aiko is 6 years old, and she is coming up with these, like, just total hits, man. They're just like,
Yeah.
you think Zidane is the lady killer at this point, man. Good thing Aiko is in Zidane, because, whew, man, this game would have ended up way differently. But bold move, man. My favorite one, I know we've talked about, is, when they're in the Ifa tree and she's like, I was watching the reflection off your eyes. It's like a 6-year-old saying that, man. It's hilarious.
I know. It's so interesting, that whole dynamic, and then there's parts in the story where she's just like, it's not just Zidane, or both Dagger and Zidane are hopeless and slow.
Yeah.
They can catch on to each other and all this kind of stuff. It's really funny.
It's
She's kind
hysterical.
of like more mature in that way almost, because
Yeah,
she's been
6
alone
years
for so
old.
long. Yeah. All right, and for mine, going to Final Fantasy VIII. So if everybody remembers, during the Balam and Galbadia Gardens clash,
Yep.
when you have to kind of like select your list of priorities of what you want to do,
Sure.
attack, defense, all this stuff. Bold move for telling the cafeteria team to collect all the hot dogs and store everything in the secret shelter. I just love how he says, don't leave anything for the enemy.
Don't leave anything. The hot dogs. It's like that's
Hot
all that's
dogs.
served at that garden.
I love, like, in Final Fantasy VIII, the hot dogs is like this running joke that you never, ever get to get the hot dogs. They're always sold out.
Yeah, always.
Hilarious.
That is pretty good. And yeah, like we're about to enter war, and let's talk about hot dogs. Yeah, pretty bold. Pretty bold.
Well, it's like your first selection, too, okay? Cafeteria team.
Yeah. Screw the kids. Get the hot dogs.
Just get the food, man.
Yeah. So, pretty great ones this time. Those were our bold moves, and let's see what happens next after the evil forest. So they get to the campsite, right? And it's always just so much fun, and then they always have the jokes on Steiner, of course, and something that that you wrote down that I actually thought was really hilarious was they go through their whatever they're talking about, it's whatever, and then they're like, let's go to rest, and yeah, they seriously just look up to the sky.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're just sitting around the campfire, and it's like, all right, guys, let's just kind of like look up and daydream, and we're all gonna get rest, and our HP is
Yeah.
gonna be restored.
Just look at it. And then,
Yep.
I don't really blame them, because seriously, like, what is the sleeping situation like? Because that tent is small. Like, Vivi would probably be the one. So are they stacking on top of each other? I don't really know, but...
Yeah, seriously. And another really funny thing, if you guys notice, is when you're using the tent, notice the little like pom-pom thing at the top is kind of like moving,
Yeah.
like snoring or something like that. Like there's a bunch of snoring inside.
Yeah. And then morning comes. They all take off. What is it? Zidane on his way out smacks Steiner's shoulder. He's like, what? And then the Mog... Your friend's already left, Kupo.
It's just like, your friend's already left, Kupo.
Princess, wait, or whatever he says, I don't know, but pretty hilarious, man. They just, they literally, dude, they do not care. They have none to give in ways of caring when it comes to Steiner. Or really, most of the party, they'll just leave a man behind. They could care less, Just
It's
walking
like, well, I
off.
woke him up.
Yeah, that's true. He did smack his shoulder, but, they just kept on walking. And so you get your first, world view, your first open world walk. You're quite limited as to where you can go, but you can go back to the evil forest, and it's a small little cutscene that I think is missable. I mean, maybe with the airship if you ever went back, but at that point, no big spoilers, but if you don't have to go back, but if you do go back, it says petrified, you can't go in, and then it's a small little cutscene between Garnet and Zidane where there's sharing some nice moments over blank, and talking about how they're going to save them and find a way.
Yeah, and kind of like what you said. So another interesting thing here is right after you leave, as you've got the Miscontinent sign showing up, you cannot get into any encounters at that point. So it's a nice little sort of opportunity to just go as far as you possibly can without those annoying random encounters.
Yes, because they are quite annoying. Absolutely.
They are, yeah. And all the enemies around here are really just boring. They don't have a whole heck of a lot to steal. So.
Exactly. I mean, that is the one thing that's kind of unfortunate. Most enemies up to this point, or pretty much all of the random enemies, are just... It's just lackluster. It's kind of like, man, I just don't even really want to fight them right now. It's...
Well, exactly, and not a lot of enemy variety either. Just kind of like, I think at this point you're fighting the moose or whatever. The little like... I don't know what they're supposed to be. Raccoons
squirrels or something.
Squirrels,
I don't know.
Exactly. And the snake enemies.
Yep, that's true. But you do have a first little optional location if you so choose. So rather than going pretty much straight across to Ice Caverns, right, pretty much where you're supposed to go, you can instead go north to the North Gate, which I think is pretty hilarious. I don't know, you get there, they kind of talk about, the smoke's rising, and you see Alexandria's flag, Steiner's like, oh, I don't know, disrespect or something. But I think it's pretty hilarious because they're like, I would arrest them if I was not escorting the princess. And it's like, dude, based on how you've performed your job so well from what we've seen, you wouldn't be doing any arresting.
Oh, exactly.
It's like,
Yeah, it's an interesting, again, just I love the way, when you're seeing these for the first time, you have no idea what's going on,
yeah,
but you do understand this because it's the Alexandrian war flag, I believe, and that
yes,
doesn't make any sense to you at this point until you get to a
yeah.
later point in the game.
Well, and yeah, the North Gate as well, and why you can't get
Yeah.
through. And so, yeah, that'll be tied in. But something hilarious is because if you go to the actual gate, you'll get a little exclamation point. You click it, and you call out, and someone's like, yes. And then it's just hilarious, man, because it's Zidane in his classic thing. Is like, in his, he's thinking in his mind, it's in parentheses, but he's like, it's a chick. And then she says something else, and he's like, what a sexy, husky voice.
Yeah, those two, they don't go together. Husky?
Husky, sexy and husky voice. This is a 16-year-old saying this, by the way. And then it's just hilarious because after he says that, he kind of like he like raises his arms up and kind of throws them side to side, like, yeah, let's get some, And then you can just buy potions.
I know, it's just so funny. Well, because he goes like, "Oh, I can't do anything. I can't, make a move because I'm with Princess Garden at this
Yeah,
point."
yeah,
But yeah, I love that stretch they do. It's like all of the other, old school Final Fantasies at this point, 7, 8, 9. They all have those little movement things that they do, and they do it throughout the game at different
yep,
points.
yep.
It's just really funny. It's the exact same move though.
It's hilarious. It's like the tough guy stretch, like, oh yeah.
Exactly. And so after you do that and you stock up on your potions and all that, you can. This is actually the first time that if you go to the forest areas, you can encounter the ragtime mouse.
That's right.
And
Yep.
yeah, so we briefly talked about this in I think our mini games or our side quests
Yep. Part
episode.
2.
Right. Basically, it's not anything that you would have to do at this point, but basically, you encounter him and it's got the friendly monster music going instead of the regular battle music, and you have this questionnaire. You select circle or X to the
Yep.
question, true or false, and basically at this point, you can just get 1,000 gil for every correct answer, and if you get it wrong, you get like blown out of battle or something.
Yeah, but I mean that's what's kind of cool, right? If you're trying to just kind of hit them as you go, this is your first opportunity for that. So, unfortunately, that is something to kind of work towards for random battles if you want to hit that, and you just kind of have to fight the boring snakes and moos up to that point.
Yeah, because I
But
think there's 16 questions total. But
yeah, there's
anyways,
quite a bit. So, to save yourself from having to go back and just farm them all at the end game, yeah, definitely hit that one up. But before we go into Ice Caverns, we're going to go ahead and flop it to Seed Trivia. Alex finally got his rank 5. I say finally, he only had to make 2 attempts, but he finally, after all that time, got his Seed rank 5. So we're on to Seed rank 6 test. So let's do it.
Ooh.
I'll go ahead and start us off with question 1. We're going to keep it in Final Fantasy 9. So, man, Chocograph number 4, which is the Healing Shore, that gives you the reef kind of like upgrade.
Okay, Healing Shore. That's true.
All right. Final Fantasy 10. If you want to get Jet Shot, you need to go ahead and get at least 10 of the kind of like, little, you can't do it, kid. I'm the best. Like, you got to get at least 10 of those in order to unlock Jet Shot.
Oh, man. Oh, I never even thought about that, actually. That's such a good question. At least 10. I'm gonna have to guess on this. I'd say true.
Okay. Final Fantasy 7. Tifa's motor drive weapon gives double AP.
True.
Alright, Final Fantasy 12. There are a total of 10 time magic licenses.
False.
Back to Final Fantasy 9. Vivi's regular fire, I guess Blizzard Thunder as well, cost 5 MP.
That's false.
Final Fantasy 13. Hope's sleeves, so kind of like the top shoulders, are yellow.
Okay, so I'm thinking now. So is that like the sleeve, so like from his shoulder down, or the very top of his shoulder?
I mean, it kind of goes from like the shoulder to like elbow.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, so that part is yellow. True.
Okay. Final Fantasy VIII. Quake can be found on island closest to Hell.
Oh man. Oh. There's two, isn't there? Like there's island closest to heaven.
Heaven and Hell. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, you're gonna get me on that because I feel like that's a trick question. I'm gonna say true.
All right. Going back. See, man, I've stopped like digging into the strategy guides, and I've just started like thinking about things. So, anyways, Final Fantasy IX, Chocograph number 4, which is the Healing Shore. It does. You open it up, you get to go to the Chocobo floating isle, whatever, for first time, and you get your nice reef upgrade. So, sweet deal.
Nice.
Final Fantasy X. See, this one was pretty hard because, you kind of just go for it. It's not like you're ever counting. Why would you?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so, and I don't even think if you do own the strategy guide, I don't think it says you need to get at least. It's not 10, man. You need to get at least 11 of them. Womp, womp, womp. Yeah, so close.
man.
All right.
Got me.
Tifa's motor drive does give double AP. For Final Fantasy XII, there are, in fact, a total of 10 time magic licenses.
Oh, shoot.
So you got 2 wrong, man. You can only miss 1 more.
Dang it.
Final Fantasy IX, Vivi's Fire, and all the basic ones, they don't cost 5, they cost 6. Thought I would get
6,
you on
yeah.
that one, man. Darn. Alright, Final Fantasy 13. This one I knew was gonna be close. They aren't yellow, they're orange.
I got it mixed up.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
they are orange. Alright, you're at your maximum. Let's see for this final question. So, island closest to hell, well, in heaven. Not a trick question, because island closest to hell has most of them. Island closest to heaven has all of them. And we're talking all the end game, right? You got Fire, Flare, Ultima, not Fire, but Flare, Ultima, all those. Hell is missing 2. You cannot get Quake and you cannot get Tornado on Hell. Those are only on Heaven. So that is wrong as well. Man, you failed rank 6. That's okay.
Oh, those are some tough ones, man.
I'm like I've said, I've kind of gone
Good
more
question.
to less of the book learning stuff and more kind of just like really things you just gotta pay attention to. So, and also, if anyone is interested in these, I was thinking about this today as I was creating these. I'm thinking of these all by myself. I'm not looking online for any of this stuff. So, if you would like me to put this stuff into the blog, just so you can see the questions, if you have friends you want to ask, stuff like this, because it is kind of fun just to see how much people actually remember just of these very passive things. I think I'll just start tossing them in there for the heck of it,
Yeah.
just because it's kind of a fun little thing. So, anyways, Alex didn't get it. He'll get it next week, I'm sure, to follow his nice little pattern he's going on. But let's go ahead. Let's finish up what we have today with some Ice Cavern. Alright, so the first thing that you notice when you enter this place is that, there's quite a bit of ice around. It's a fitting name to the Ice Cavern. And so moving forward, what do we got? So, you kind of encountered these little walls. First one you select, it really doesn't matter which, but the first one that you do select, Zidane's like, I got an idea, Vivi, can you use your fire? And, they'll melt it, and that's where you get some treasures. I can't quite remember what's in them. I don't think there's anything particularly good. At least, not that stands out in my mind.
Yeah, so most of them aren't. I think you get one really good item here if you hadn't stolen it from the prison cage, the plant cage enemy, is a leather wrist, which is
Okay.
pretty nice because that teaches Vivi Blizzard for the first time. You can also get the Mage Masher here if you hadn't stolen that from Baku at the very, very beginning of the game, like literally the very first battle.
Right.
So this is the first time in which you get the Mage Masher, which comes with the Detect ability. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so pretty much nothing new if you've already stolen it, but if you haven't, here you go. Here's a free opportunity to get it. And, we have a note written down. It's just kind of cool because, yeah, it really is the only time in just an open area or a map that you see Vivi using his magic. Kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that because I couldn't remember another time in the game where, outside of a FMV or like a a video or a cutscene or something. I
Right.
mean, this is kind of like a cutscene, but where he's actually using the magic out of battle. So it's kind of unique for the Ice Cavern.
Yeah, they kind of put the spotlight on him for a little bit. And then something else you'll notice as you're walking around is the kind of like little wind that's going across, kind of like in a semicircle across the path. And so if you just got lucky and went through all of them without, kind of timing it, then you wouldn't know that it does in fact cause a battle if you run
Mhm.
through it.
Yeah, and so you end up getting into a battle with an enemy called I don't know how to say it. Wired?
It's probably just
I think it's a
word,
wired.
right? Word.
Word. Word up. So yeah, wired or weird or word, whatever, however you want to say it. It's kind of an interesting enemy. Most of the enemies, we didn't talk about the enemies in this place, but you've got the Flans, they pretty
Yeah.
much just use Blizzard. You've got the little I don't know what they are, like little ice cavern people or whatever that use Blizzard and all that. But these guys are really interesting because they have these quotes every time they attack in battle. They say like the wind lays out my path and get out of my way, which is kind
Yeah.
of trying to let you know that you got into this. It's not a completely random battle. You got into it because you ran into the icy wind that you
Yeah.
can see on screen.
Which is apparently them.
Yep.
It's
Apparently, like get out of my way.
yeah.
And they don't really have any interesting moves. They just use Blizzard. But one really annoying move that I can remember that they use is HP switching. And that's a pretty mean move when you think about it because it literally exchanges your HP with them.
Yeah.
So if they're at critical, if they're at like 50 HP, you're going to get dropped to 50 HP. And one just fun fact with this that I had no idea, I always find out something new when I do this research, is that if you happen to have a character with 9,999 HP
Of
at this point
course.
in the game,
Of
which
course.
is, yeah, I mean, who wouldn't? Um,
You know, I just killed about 2 million goblins and got up to
oh
level
man,
100.
seriously, can you imagine how crazy that would be? Anyways, so that they can actually attain up to 9,000, the maximum,
Yeah, that's crazy.
9,999. Which is just kind of weird. I wonder how people find this stuff out. They must use a
Game
Game
Sharks
Shark
or
cheat or
something,
something.
maybe, yeah,
Yeah.
back in the day. Or what? There's also there's the commands to, I think, max
Mm.
out your stats too in the remastered. So maybe they, did that and we're like,
Oh yeah.
whoa, that dude just got all my health.
Seriously, imagine that though. That'd be crazy because then it'd be. I mean, obviously, like if your stats are max, it's not going to be that difficult.
Right,
But if he
right.
has that much HP, it turns into like just a really
A
difficult
mega
boss at that
boss.
point.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
if your character's doing the same amount of damage, even though that somehow it had health, yeah, it's like, well,
Yeah.
we're not gonna kill this guy.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that's pretty much all there really is in the caverns. There's not much else. Again, it's just kind of the treasures and the winds until you get to the frozen Moogle, in which it's funny because VV does his little thing, uses fire, and dude, that guy has a mouth on him. He fires off a phrase that is just like, okay, man, maybe we'll just
Yeah,
freeze you back then, you jerk.
I know. Seriously, Moist the Moogle.
Moise.
I love that about these games, though. The old school games, they used they used language that,
As young
uh,
kids.
yeah, I just think it's hilarious that they did that. But
Yeah, no, it is pretty hilarious. They're a lot more edgy, is what it was.
definitely.
So at that point, really, what everyone falls asleep, and you get your first
Yeah,
first really challenging fight. At least
yeah.
it can be quite challenging. Why? Because you only have Zidane, and it's first the Black Waltz 1,
One
which
one.
what? So I mean, not to get too in deep on this, because I think we should get it later, more in depth.
Mm,
Is Beyond the Black Waltzes is what they were created specifically
yeah.
for this by Zorn and Thorn. Spoiler alert, 5 minutes in advance. And I don't know. I look at Black Waltz 1 and I think of Zorn and Thorn. They're like, they're doing their weird phrases and words, but they're like, should we give him like, ultimate magic? No. Should we give him a machine gun? No. I know what we'll give him. Let's give him a little bell to ring. That's really awesome. He'll ring a little bell, ding,
Yeah,
ding, ding, and then
I know.
a sea lion comes up.
Yeah, I know, and that's literally. If it was just Black Waltz 1, this is like literally as easy as fighting a
Yeah,
Flan or something like that. I mean, he uses fire and blizzard, and it's very, very weak magic.
yeah, he's a cakewalk.
Um, Yeah, he has silk shirt to steals, so the steals aren't really that great. But
No.
yeah, the main thing is his ability to summon Sea Lion. And just another interesting little fun fact for everybody to notice is that the summon animation for the Sea Lion is the same as the Blizzaga spell. Just kind of something I always
Yeah, that's
noticed.
pretty cool. You know, you summon
But
them in and get that nice spell, and of course, now the sea lion comes in, and things do get a little more interesting. You got to kind of be a
yeah,
little careful. I mean, of course, there's plenty of ways to make this battle easy. If you were close to a trance or whatever, but I don't know. I think I usually, and maybe this is even the way you have to do it, but I usually just go full in on Black Waltz, kill him off, and then just focus on the sea lion after
yeah.
that.
That's the best way to do it because if you try to focus on the Sea Lion, he'll heal the Sea Lion. So you literally,
There you go.
unless you do something, unless you get trance and use
Trance,
Tidal
yeah.
Flame or something like that, you're not going to be able to kill the Sea Lion normally with the Black Waltz around because he heals them for just a lot. I mean, it's more than you can't out damage it pretty
Right.
much. But yeah, the Sea Lion, he's an interesting enemy because he has that little node right in the middle of his chest that changes color depending on where his HP is at. So, for example, it starts off with blue, and then once you drop him to the next threshold, he hits you with just a one-time move that's a pretty strong move, Blizzara. It usually does about 80 damage, and then if you drop him even before that, it turns red, and he uses Tsunami. So, just kind of some interesting things that they threw into
Yeah.
this battle that can catch you off guard because he essentially gets like double moves. He'll use Blizzara and then he'll get it in, like right after that he'll use Blizzard or Wing or something.
Yeah, it's pretty much just like an instant attack no matter what.
Yeah.
And
So
so,
it can KO you pretty easily. I know I've gotten game overs at this guy without knowing what I was doing.
well, yeah, exactly. And so that's what some timing comes in hand. Because I mean, yeah, Blizzard and Tsunami, I mean, like you said, hitting about 80. That that's
Yeah, it does like
that's a lot.
yeah,
You definitely
it's,
have to use a potion right after that for sure.
yeah, because I mean typically at this point I think I'm level 5 and I have like 220 HP or something like that. So
Yeah. Yeah, so there you are, right? The first fight, you kill him, everyone wakes up. Well, actually, I guess before everyone wakes up, what it kind of goes up, and that's when, yes, you get a nice little look at Zorn and Thorn, and you're kind of like, what the
yeah.
heck, man? What are you doing?
Yeah, again, just another one of those really cool little details that they throw into the game where if you haven't played it before, you don't know the connection yet between Black Waltzes. You have no idea what's going on. So the
Right.
fact that it kind of pans up and at the top of the waterfall you see Zorn and Thorn standing up there. So
Yep.
I just
Pretty
love the way
hilarious.
the game throws it in there. Yeah, it's really cool.
And that's pretty much it for the Ice Cavern. Everyone wakes up and you're on your way, and it's on to Dally after that, which we will get to in the next episode. I love Dally, man. It's got some hilarious
Yeah,
parts to it.
really
It's
does.
it well, they all do, but Dally especially early on. And so that is going to do it for us on this episode. Appreciate you all for hanging out, sticking through, listening. Make sure again, check out the website, check out the blogs. We also toss in all the music and stuff that we use, so all the clips for our little shorts and just sometimes little things here and there. Again, I'll also put in the trivia questions as well, kind of give you guys some more info. And don't forget, you can actually comment on those too. So if there's anything you want to toss at us, any info, of course, you can do it on our social medias as well. Get plugged in, right? Get the conversation rolling,
Yeah.
and we'll just
Yeah, and
all have some
definitely
good times.
if you have any questions that you want Mark to ask me, throw them out there.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I bet you some. I think I asked some hard questions. Holy cow! I bet you some people would
I
create
think
some
so.
real tough ones, but
Yeah, it'd be cool to see.
absolutely. But all right, all. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you next time. I'm Mark,
I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks.